On tonight's show, we'll discuss the conclusion of the NBA season. Who got the best favorable matchups in the playoffs? Who could come out the East and the West? And who will win the play-in games this week? Plus, with the season concluding, we go over, what's our favorite moments in the NBA season and some of our worst as well. Also, remaining thoughts of the college basketball season. The transfer portal is wild right now. We'll get our final thoughts on the college basketball season. But this is Fast Break here live for IA Sports Radio. You're the week for all our sports, and you're welcome to join us. And join us tonight as you shout tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Lots to talk about, lots to get into with the conclusion of the NBA season. I am Mr. Davidson Crooks, along with Dentarius Locke. How you doing tonight, sir?
Everything is going pretty good, man. Great way for the NBA season to come to a close. Regular season, that is. Playoffs is among us. About to start, and my Orlando Magic are in, so that's a very good thing. So I'm in a great mood.
And one more thing we're going to talk about. I forgot about this. I'm tweeting from our S account / Twitter at Fastbreak ISR. That's Fastbreak ISR. If you're not following us, please do. We're going to talk about. I forgot to mention to you, D-Lock. We got to talk about John Calipari because that's a seismic move, if there was one. And Kentucky hired Mark Pope. And this happened last Sunday, where we concluded our show, and then I was watching the end of wrestling and stuff like that, and then you started hearing reports about John Calipari going to Arkansas. I was like, oh, shit. So we'll talk about that later on. But first, welcome all to the show tonight. Lots to get into. Let's head into it right now. The NBA season has concluded. And with your top seeds in the West, the OKC Thunder. A team that I think D-Lock, me and you were kind of like, they're going to be good, but they're not quite there yet. And what I mean, like, not quite there yet, I think some of the older head teams got to, fizzle away until they can claim that top spot for years to come. But they kind of really surprised a lot of people getting to the top and kind of stay around the top 3 for most of the season. And congrats to the young OKC Thunder on getting to that top spot. And then on the Eastern side of things, the Boston Celtics, the best record in the NBA, 64-18, wrapped at the 1 seed like a while back. So they're the 1 seed once again. And no, take it back. They were 2nd seed last year, excuse me. But they get the top spot in the East again. So we'll see how that thing goes for them. D-Lock, are you surprised by the 2 number 1 seeds in the playoffs, the Celtics and the Thunder? What are your thoughts on those 2 teams being top of their conference?
Well, the biggest one I'm somewhat surprised about is the OKC Thunder. And I figured that they would have a very good season, being the fact that they were getting Chet back, SGA being one of the better players in the league. I'm pretty sure the Clippers are still kicking themselves for that. But them having that number 1 seed was just the biggest shocker to me. And them continuing to play well throughout the whole season was a big deal. You know what I mean? So now that we're going to see what they're going to do. Now they go in there with number 1 seed. They're going to obviously have that 7-game series with whomever comes out of that play into that last spot, which still going to be, I think, a pretty tough matchup, whoever it is, which makes the West look so damn tough. But as far as Boston having that number 1 seed, really not shocked at all. I mean, making a move to go get a Porzingis, we already thought that, obviously seeing him healthy is the biggest thing that would make a difference for them, and he has been playing outstanding when he is healthy. And with all the pieces that they already have, I just felt as if it was, a huge piece, and it made it clear that they were going to be the best team in the East. So they have multiple pieces. Coming back from a team last year that was, like you said, second in the East. They brought an addition, which is what they needed. So I'm really not surprised. Like I said, to me, I knew this team was going to continue to be competitive. And then again, the East having some of those teams that literally, Philly, who has been very inconsistent, obviously with Embiid missing some time, Cleveland, like you don't know what the hell you're going to get from them. So for me, them having a number 1 seed is not a shocker at all. It's just the fact that OKC, had a hell of a season in the West and got that number 1 seed. That's probably the most shocking news I've heard all year.
I'm looking up our predictions that we did earlier this year. And since it's so fitting that the NBA season concludes and we can look back at these things. And before I get to that, I want to shout out to the chat. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to Terry Rodriguez. How you doing tonight, sir? Shout out to Marcus Los, great in the chat. I get to y'all's comments in a little bit. Terrence said, I feel like the Thunder's ceiling is the second round, maybe the Western Conference. Yeah, we could see that, depending who they match up in the first round. We'll see. But looking at our old predictions back in October last year, or late September, where we started, you had the Nuggets number 1 in the Northwest, Minnesota number 2, and the OKC Thunder number 3, Portland 4, and the Utah Jazz 5. When you hear the prediction you made, and then seeing those top 3 teams are the top 3 in the West, what you make of that, kind of crazy prediction?
Well, for me, I felt like the Nuggets, coming back with the pieces that they had, they were going to be a team to reckon with. So I definitely had them being the number 1 team. I just thought that, the reigning champs were going to be tough for anybody to beat. Bringing back a lot of their pieces. Obviously, they're missing the big defensive piece of Bruce Brown. So maybe that played a part. But I had them number 1 for that reason. I had Minnesota because I just felt as if this was their time to crack that code and be a much better team, having your bigs and Gobert and having Karl-Anthony Towns and Ant-Man being himself. I just felt like this team was on up, and we've seen it all year long. This is one of the better teams defensive-wise. And Ant-Man was Ant-Man, So, and I also, like I said, I figured with who OKC had, they were going to be a good team. But I just didn't see them having that number 1 spot. Those 2 teams above, I thought, as we talked about, they had some growing to do. They had to let some of these other teams kind of fade out a little bit, and then they were going to make them move to that number 1 spot. Mm-hmm. But the 2 teams ahead, like I said, I believe for a while, Minnesota was number 1 for a good while. And they kind of fell back a little bit, and OKC kept playing well. So for me, I predicted that they were going to be good, but just not the best team in the West. Especially not after seeing what the Nuggets did in the NBA Finals last year. So I thought that this team was going to be the best team, and now, right now, going into it, OKC does have that number one spot. So it's interesting to see how that's going to play out because they have the pieces. I just felt as if it was going to take a little bit of growing, and I guess the time is now for them to show what they can do. Hopefully, they can do this, seasons and seasons after this.
Looking back at my list, I had Denver number 1, I had OKC number 2, Minnesota number 3, Utah 4, Portland 5, which Portland, it's got ugly at the end for them. But did I expect progress at OKC? Yes, I did. But I didn't see this. And shout out to Chet Holmgren. Went out with the unfortunate injury at the Pro-Am up in Seattle, missed his rookie year, comes back, plays all 82 games, showed a lot of promise, and a great building block for this team down the road. And, kind of seeing his play now, you kind of wish, why he, played more like this at Gonzaga, but, that's another subject for another day. But, I expected OKC to play playoffs, but I didn't expect this. Same thing with Minnesota. Like, I didn't expect them to be number 1 seed. The way last season ended for them, see the fight on the sideline, Gobert, Kyle Anderson, all that stuff. But, they kind of weathered the storm. On the court, off the court, a different situation with the ownership in that situation there. Who you won't believe in that story? Alex Rodriguez and crew, or Taylor. But anyways, Minnesota weathered the storm. Bring almost everybody back, and they played great for the most of the year. Has a hiccup, especially like you mentioned down the stretch here. Not playing their best ball. I was watching that Atlanta and Minnesota game the other night, and when the Hawks pulled most of their starters late, and they almost, Minnesota almost choked that game away against the Hawks reserves. I'm talking about deep reserves at that. So, Anthony Edwards should be in MVP consideration. When you look at OKC, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander should be MVP conversation. Chet Holmgren. I don't know what they're going to do with him in terms of rookie wise, but I think Victor Wembanyama should win Rookie of the Year. But I think Chet Holmgren, should at least get some looks. And I'm not saying he's going to make all NBA, but he should get some considerations around that third team. Maybe on the outside looking in. But he should get some considerations considering how well he played this year. And on top of that, D-Lock, we talked about this during the draft and stuff like that past couple years. The draft capital that this team has. Draft capital that this team have, that they can get the luxury to kind of replace some of the young guys that want to venture out and get their own payday here. Because you can't keep all these young guys here in the fall for years to come. You wish you can, but it's not. The league's never been built like that. Guys going to seek out and try to get their own bread. But they got a good opportunity to kind of keep the cycle going if they hit right on these draft picks down the line and kind of build around Chet and SGA mainly. I think Giddey is the guy that you can they like, but you can upgrade him. If I was OKC, I'm trying to maybe explore that in the offseason, kind of like, hold firm at that top spot. But congrats to them. Congrats to them. They played great this year. Now, let me ask you this. And Terry Rodriguez brought this up, early in the chat. I mean, he brought this more of a Laker question, but who does OKC match up better in the AC spot, in your opinion?
Ooh. That right there is a good question. I mean, I think right now, so we're looking at between the Pelicans and the Lakers.
Yep. Pelican, Lakers in the play-in game.
Warriors.
Be playing New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got the Kings and Warriors 9-10 spot.
Ooh, if I had to pick. Man, I mean, to be honest, I think the best matchup for OKC, I probably would say their best matchup would be against the Warriors. I mean, right now, I think Chet would dominate down low. Draymond and all of them, I think that bigs for OKC would dominate the Warriors. I feel like the matchup between Steph and SGA would be one to watch. All of the damn guards. So I would think it'd be a better matchup for them to go against the Warriors. I don't want to see Sacramento because of having Sabonis.
Mm-hmm.
De'Aaron Fox. Pelicans, maybe, but not really. I mean, you got Joe Val, Zion's gonna be Zion, then you got McCollum. They're somewhat loaded on all ends. You damn sure don't want to play the Lakers. I mean, at this point, I think that's a team that no team wants to play the first round, just because of the fact of having Anthony Davis, LeBron. Hachimura seems like he's fitting in pretty well. So I would say their best matchup, best chance is the Warriors. I mean, I think that weakness that the Warriors have could benefit the most for OKC for Chet, because he would literally, I think he would dominate, down low. So for me, best matchup for them, Warriors.
To tie into Terrence's question, I'll look at on the side for the Lakers. The Lakers don't want to see the Nuggets in the first round. Let's be real about that. We saw what happened in the playoffs. And with Anthony Davis, the past couple of games going out and stuff like that, I need AD fully to the best health for him if they're going to try and contend for a title. I can't have you, worrying about your hip and your eye and all that type of stuff, playing against, Jokic and them. I can't have that. Now, OKC, on the other hand, if you can get that matchup, get another young team, kind of like you did last year with the Grizzlies. But to ask Terrence's questions, though, is like, compare this young team with the Grizzlies. OKC, they got their head screwed on more right than the Grizzlies do. Because think about it, like we talked about this last year, D-Lock, and we talked about this, John Morant, all this stuff, and stuff coming about him, all that. Go back to last year. On that last year's squad for Grizzlies, you had Dylan Brooks. The antics and all that stuff for him. John Morant, the stories coming about him. He'll get in trouble. All that stuff. Jerry Jackson, very fine player, but, not the strongest rebounder in the world. Like he should be. And then, got some other nice young players that, we like, but a lot of, you know, head cases there. Compared to this OKC squad, you're not hearing too much about that. Well, except for Josh Giddey. But, and side note, if they do get matched with the Lakers, if I was OKC, I'll tell that fool Giddey, you ain't allowed to leave your hotel room at all. You just stay in your hotel room and you be at Staples. I know it's crypto arena, but you get my point. You ain't venture out nowhere. No Huntington Beach, no Laguna Beach, no hour down trip down south to Oceanside, whatever. Don't matter. Hotel, crypto arena. But anyways, back to here. For the Lakers, D-Lock, I guess the Thunder because the youngness and inexperience in the playoffs. But it's going to kind of remind me of that OKC and Lakers series of years ago with Durant and Westbrook and them, and that come in and stuff like that. Kind of like when they beat the Lakers, the kind of the noting that they hear. I think if the Lakers get matched up with them, I think OKC can get the Lakers in the first round. Now, I only say this. Only way the Lakers can beat OKC if AD is full to go. If he ain't full to go, then no chance.
No chance at all.
And I think also, we saw. I mean, D'Angelo has been play well this year. I'll give him credit there. But he's got to show up. He can't let Shai Gilgeous-Alexander cook him all throughout the series. Now, it's good that Gabe Vince is back. It's good they picked up Spencer Dinwiddie because of that. But Russell, he's got to be like there as well. He's got to play well as well. Plays well for the Lakers if they got any chance to make it to the second round. I'll let you have the last word. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I think the same for the Lakers. They need to be fully healthy. I think Anthony Davis already said that he was going to play in the play-in, which is without a doubt.
Oh, he better.
But for me, he better. So for me, I feel like this team needs to be fully healthy to make any kind of run. But this Western Conference is still. I know that no disrespect to the Thunder. I just feel like this Western Conference is still somewhat up in the air.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have a lot of very good teams. I mean, you compare the play-in for the East and playing for the West, and hell, you got 4 teams that could easily be, or 3 teams, 3 or 4, well, actually all 4, that are going to be very tough that could easily be at the top of the Western Conference. Hell, the Kings were number 2 last year?
Yeah.
Number 3?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's one team the Warriors were in. They obviously have the bodies that they have. So, for me, you have to go into this playoffs healthy, all teams. Like I said, the biggest thing is, we talked about this all the time with Anthony Davis. He has to be healthy regardless. So, if he can't be 100%, then that's going to cause a big, big issue for the Lakers. So for me, again, I feel like the Nuggets are still, obviously being the champs. I think they are still a team that you have to watch out for. But if you can get a full, healthy Anthony Davis, the Lakers could cause issues. But the biggest word in that is if.
Yeah, and Terrence said on the show, like the Lakers go as far as AD and LeBron take them. True, But like you mentioned as well, D-Lock, Rui Hachimura, he got to step up. Austin Reeves got to pick up his play. Like I said, I mentioned about D'Angelo Russell, and then the bench guys, Dinwiddie, Gabe Vincent, who's been damn near non-existent this year. I mean, I know he's still trying to get his legs under him, but dude, this team as an organization has been known to get rid of dudes after signing big time deals. So we'll see. Jackson Hayes, he got to get good minutes down low. And then Mike Pat in the chat, how you doing tonight, sir? He said, if I'm OKC, the last person I want to see on the other side on the court in the first round is LeBron James. Very true. Very true. LeBron James don't lose first round games. The teams that he's been associated with, they don't lose first round series, excuse me. And Marcus chimed in. He said, almost worry about old man James. I give LeBron this and this credit, his longevity in the league. He has paced himself pretty well, and when he needs to turn up, he'll turn up. That's why you don't, granted, he's older and the injuries caught up for them, but you don't see too many injuries for him, compared to other guys. So it's gonna be really interesting if the Lakers do win. OKC can match up with that. LeBron, teams have been associated, never lost in the first round. OKC rebuild, top of the West. Can they beat the Lakers? Hey, tough sell. Look at the other playing games in the West real quick, D-Lock. Kings, Warriors, kind of like a rematch from last year's playoffs, but like win or go home. Who you got in that matchup?
Kings and Warriors. Oof. And I ain't gonna lie, man. Every time I think Kings and Warriors, or I talk about Kings and Warriors, I still have this visual of Draymond supposedly walking over Sabonis, yet stepping on him.
Yeah.
That just it still made me scratch my head on. But that's gonna be a tough one, man. I mean, I think with this one, I actually like the Warriors to win this game. I know that this is one of the. It just seems like this is all of a sudden becoming a very good rivalry between these two. I think that with so much experience, that the Warriors have, Draymond being Draymond, being that defender, I think that he poses a big problem, for Sabonis. And I think, talking about that situation, for some reason, sometimes Sabonis does not play well against Draymond. He brings that physicality, to the game. So I think that this game is going to be a very good game. But I think Steph goes off, and I think with more guards that they have, and I think that they, they're going to prevail. I think that they get the win, and then now they get that chance to move on. So for me, it's a very tough game. I think this game probably goes to overtime. But I definitely got the Warriors winning that
one. Ooh. In the chat, y'all jumping about LeBron, and like LeBron's a lightning rod, a conversation, kind of like OJ. Okay, that's my only OJ reference in this show today. But anyways, bad joke. But anyways, moving forward. For me, it's tough. I want to shout out to Keon Ellis, former Alabama player, who's been kind of inserted in the starting lineup here, kind of like in the second half of this season. Gives his team like a defensive look, but he's been like been given this starting position and grabbing the bull by the horns. Compared, the other guys that got in the roster like Davion Mitchell and Malik Monk. But I think, as we've seen, Malik Monk's better, way better off the bench. And, no shame in that as well. I think Sacramento wants redemption. And I think Sacramento will win this game because they got the game at home. And I think, and I don't think Sacramento or Golden State, they even though neither one will make the playoffs. If they do, they do. I think not OKC, New Orleans and the Lakers will get in. But it's like one of those things is like with the Warriors, I think they need like a good look in the mirror of what they want to be for the next couple of years when Steph's career. I think we talked about nauseam before with this team, especially me. Like they had to get out a free card with Draymond, and they never took that chance. So Klay Thompson, won't have him come off the bench, play been up and down this year. What you gonna do with him? So this team's not built as a championship team. You got no low post presence. I like the kid for Indiana, the big man down low. His name escapes me right now, but a good block down low out there. Kevon Looney, he's nice for what he does. Kuminga, they finally let him shine and stuff like that. But it's just like this team's not a championship built team. And
they look totally different.
And like Marcus brought up in the chat, ever since Klay tore his ACL in that NBA Finals against the Raptors years ago, it really hadn't been the same for him.
Nope.
And look where your team at now. So I got Sacramento winning the game. Like I said, I don't got either team making it to the playoffs. They do. But for the Kings, I think they're in a bad position next year with that core they have compared to the Warriors. So if you're playing Sacramento and they'll make the playoffs, okay, well, it's not the end of the world. It sucks going from the 3 seed to out of playoffs, but we know at least that we'll be there again. For the Warriors, I really don't know. But I'll leave that last word before we get to the East.
Well, I mean, like you said, the Warriors don't look like the same team that we've seen. Now, my thing is, if they do lose to the Kings, is this the time that this offseason that they blow that shit up?
They had a chance last offseason.
Exactly. So, I mean, at this point, do you start over? Because I like you said, they're not a championship built team. Hell, because they go against the Nuggets, it's over with for them.
Oh yes,
they can't do shit with Jokic. Will dominate. That's why I said I think that Chet will have a field day against them.
Yeah,
I really think so. And I would always think the same. I always continuously thought the same thing for Sabonis, but it's just like Sabonis sometimes is very inconsistent when he play against them. So, one he'll come in and have a hell of a game. I don't know if you remember the series from last year. Very similar, have a hell of a game, and then he would disappear.
Yeah.
So this is one of those times where, if Sabonis does dominate, if he get his way early, then that series might be. I mean, that game might be done quick. But at the same time, we need to see. I need to see that. But this team, like you said, this team isn't built, championship ready. So I think it's going to be a hell of a game. Like I said, it's going to come down to the wire, and we got to see how this plays out. But to be honest, it's a hell of a game for a play-in, man. I mean, that's a very good matchup. Obviously, we've seen this matchup before in the playoffs, but for it to be an actual play-in game is insane. But it's a good game to see, leading into the playoffs.
So the West, I think it's going to be like a fight. And we look at things in the East real quick. But before we talk about the East, real quick, our sponsor here at iSports Radio, Planet Jerky. If y'all need some good jerky before the playoffs, go to planetjerky.org. A lot of good flavors, like we see here in the playoffs. A lot of good matchups. Go to planetjerky.org. Order some jerky before, it won't be in before the playing games, but for the upcoming Saturday matchups, it should be in by then. So go to planetjerky.org and get your jerky. A lot of good sales on there as well. But to the East real quick. The Celtics top seed. The Knicks, the win today, they close up the second seed. Third seed, the Bucks, who's been I don't know. The Cavs, if they can remain healthy, hell, they probably be the most dangerous team in the East. But every time you look up, like one guy comes back, one goes in the injury report, that guy comes back, and somebody else goes in the injury report. It's like musical chairs with the Cavs injury report. Especially the starting five. I continue. Your Orlando Magic, the fifth seed. Hell of a year for them. Sixth seed, the Indiana Pacers. Then you get to the bottom four. The Sixers, the seventh seed, with Joel Embiid back in the fold. The Heat, the eighth seed, once again. The Bulls, the ninth seed. I'm going to say something about the Bulls real quick. Billy Donovan. Dog, you tried. You should have took the Kentucky job. You ain't going to win nothing in Chicago. You can't bottom out with Mike Patton in chat, talk about the Wizards. You can't bottom out in the NBA with teams like the Wizards and the Pistons in the fold. Billy, you should have took the Kentucky job. You tried the NBA thing. You should have went back and took the Kentucky job. Now maybe you didn't want to do it because you got respect for Florida. Could be good possibility, but sometimes you gotta see the bigger picture. But that's my only thing about Chicago. Anyways, in the Hawks are the 10th seed. Let's go to your matchup, the Cavs Magic. Were you surprised at a top 5 finish for your Orlando Magic this year?
To be honest, man, I really was. I mean, I know this team had, a lot of potential, a lot of young pieces. But usually, we see rookie of the years, and the next year, there's film on this player. So now teams can plan for, in the season for that player is not consistent of what it was the year before his rookie year. And Banchero had a hell of a season. I mean, he played extremely well this year. Him and Franz Wagner looked like a very good combination, a dominant duo. And now you got Jalen Suggs playing out of his mind, how we seen him play in college, which looks great. I felt like the inconsistency at the center position, it was what I figured that would, be the weakness of this team. But at the end, they played very good this year. I mean, I think it was Mo Wagner came in and played extremely well when they needed him to, even in times of when they're caught not being there. Goga has came in and played. So this team got the chemistry started early. I mean, as soon as the season started, they started collecting W's, and once they started to get that chemistry going, get these winning streaks going, they put themselves in a hell of a position to not have to worry about the play-in. So I'm definitely proud of those guys. But as I've said before, we see this all the time. They start to play well for a year or two, or things get going, and now when it's time to pay that player, they say, well, no, we don't want to do that. Or for some reason, the coach is leaving. Either he's fired or he decides to go somewhere. So hopefully, this is a start of something that can be very good for years. This needs to continue. If you can keep this group, because you're going to have to pay Jalen Suggs at one point. You're going to have to pay Cole Anthony. You're going to have to pay Paolo Banchero. So the front office needs to be able to set this plan up together the right way, so these guys can stay together and build this unit. I mean, we talk about what Golden State has done for years. Hell, Clay and Steph been together, for Splash Brothers for a long time. And then you have Draymond there as well. So they had that young core that they built, and they got multiple championships out of it and the best record in the NBA history. So I think this team could be really good for a long time. But also, I don't want them to just be content. Yes, they made the playoffs, which is great. Got a good matchup, so there's a good chance we can get to that next round. But we want to be competitive, not only this year, but for multiple years to come. I'm already having jokes with some of my friends that saying, yeah, you see Banchero going to come to LA in a couple of years. I'm like, don't speak that. So, again, proud of my guys. They're playing very well. Like I said, definitely shocked me with where they are. But this needs to keep going.
Let me ask you this with Miss Jen in the chat. How do you foresee this series going? Because I think it's got a good chance to go 7 games. And the reason I say that because I think the consistency of the starting lineup for Cleveland, not like play as well as just like injuries, stuff like that. If they could be fine there, then we talking about a different team. But these guys in and out the lineup and stuff like that, all that good stuff. It's just like you really can't pinpoint how this team is for Cleveland. So I think this series can go 7 games. What do you think? How do you think this series will play out in your eyes?
Well, this is going to be a hell of a matchup. All the way from point guard to center, every position, because you're going to have Donovan Mitchell, with Darius Garland, matching up with Jalen Suggs, Gary Harris, Cole Anthony, and the rest of those guys. That's going to be a match to watch. I think the biggest part that's going to play, the biggest piece that's going to play a huge part is the matchup with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. You need Wendell Carter to play well. Go, but these guys are going to have to figure it out and be able to compete with these bigs, because I think this is probably the best outside of Gobert and Carl Anthony Towns. This is probably one of the better duos of bigs that is in the NBA. So I think this series, Banchero is playing out of his mind. Mo Wagner, not Mo Wagner. I'm sorry, Franz Wagner is also playing well. I see this going to about 6 or 7 as well. I think that both teams are matching up really well. Actually, I just think that, like I said, the thing that Cleveland does have over Orlando is the power forward in the center position. I think that's gonna how that plays out is gonna swing who wins this series. Donovan Mitchell can light up the scoreboard as we know, but I think with Banchero there, you match that point for point, and you can. I think this now you put Banchero back in a good spotlight area. I think he performs well. So for me, I think this like you said, I think this could go to 6 or 7, but I think the big position, power forward and center for the Cavs is gonna let us know how far this series goes.
I think for me, I think this series we go 7 games, but like you mentioned about the down low, the post part, if I think Jared Allen will come into play. I ain't got no question about him. Mobley, I think he got to step up to the plate as well. I think two of those guys can do that. Darius Garland, and I don't know what it was, like the pressure of playing New York on that stuff got to him in that series. But if he can shake that off, I think Cleveland can win this game in 7. Cleveland wins the series in 7 games. But you also mentioned about Banchero. If this is a time to show your superstar status, your number 1 overall draft status, to announce yourself to the world, this is it. But I got Cleveland in 7 games, in my humble opinion. Real quick, looking around the East real quick. Marcus is saying Boston will run through the East. Do you believe that statement?
Nope, not at all. Milwaukee's going to have a lot to say. Milwaukee's going to have a lot to say about that. Now, granted, got to figure out. They have an update on Giannis' injury.
I haven't seen anything. Let me look that up. I haven't heard anything yet.
Because I think that is going to be the key in this for that. I think that they could, like you said, you could run through East. I just don't see it because Milwaukee will have a lot to say about that. I think the biggest thing that Milwaukee does have that's going to play a huge part is Bobby Portis and Brook Lopez. I think that they're going to be big now that you've entered Dame into the East. The East, I think he's going to play extremely well also. So now, granted, looking at Boston, they have a lot to where it would seem as if they can run through the East. But I think Milwaukee is definitely going to be the team that is, going to pose a threat to them. I'm not too sold on Philly. It's a good team, but I just don't trust them in the playoffs. Now, another thing that could make it seem as if Boston could run through Milwaukee or through the East is Doc Rivers. They just brought him in, and Milwaukee just does not look the same. So but I think when you have two of the top 10 players on your team, they should still be competitive, and I think they play a huge threat to the Boston.
With me, real quick, the Miami Heat is a team you don't want to see in the playoffs. And if you're Boston, you pray to God you don't see Miami in the first round. Like, you probably inclined to want to see Philly. Now, granted, Joel Embiid is back in the fold, but like Charles Barkley said the other day, it'd be one thing if the Sixers were like the top of the East and stuff like that, you got a good chance. But you're in the play-in. Joel's not really fully healthy. He probably needs surgery soon. Why risk that? And plus, he's 30 years old. So why risk it? In my opinion. But I got Miami win that play-in matchup. Bulls and Hawks real quick. The Hawks should win that game, but yeah, the Hawks should win that game. I got nothing else to add to that game. It's like Chicago, they're in the play-in game again. About third straight year or something like that. What are we doing here? Like I said, Billy should took that damn job. Kentucky job. And then, like you mentioned about Milwaukee, it's like the Griffin thing didn't work out. Doc coming in, he really didn't things really haven't changed. So you had two coaches, and that new coach come in, nothing really has changed. You kind of had to look around this roster and say, well, what's wrong with this roster? And then, New York, I think the only thing with New York, in my opinion, is if they want to win the championship, can Tom Thibodeau not, run those guys to the ground? That's about the only thing about New York. Can Tom Thibodeau not run those guys on the ground? And plus Julius Randle being out, but Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, the Villanova guys, they're kind of holding the fort even with Randle gone. So not the worst thing in the world, but it's come down to Tom Thibodeau and his coaching method for the playoffs. Can Boston run it? Yeah, sure. Do they want Pie at the easiest path? Sure. But they see Miami in the first round. I don't know. But if I got to pick out somebody at the East D-Lock, looking at things, I'm going to be bold in this. I'm going to go Miami again. If they get matched up with Boston. If they don't get matched with Boston, well, hell, even New York. If they get matched up with either one of those two teams, damn it, give me Miami making it out again.
Uh-oh.
If they get matched up, we're trying to wrap this up here. If they get matched up with either Boston or the Knicks, they don't play motivated and they don't carry that momentum all the way down to the Eastern Conference Finals. Book that, ladies and gentlemen. Book that. Miami, at least make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Book that. Miami to the Eastern Conference Finals. I'll let you last word on that.
Man, when you got Jimmy Buckets and they have the experience of being a team that will always be competitive in the playoffs, I don't disagree with you. I think that they are going to be a team to watch out for. It'd be crazy to see Milwaukee and Miami meet up, especially with Dame trying to be in Miami. That'd just be a book. It just seems like that'd be a chapter that's already been written. So, for me, as much as people go against Miami, I don't think Miami can make it. They always find a way. As long as you got Jimmy Buckets, guys are coming back healthy. You bring in the Terry Rozier, who I think is a better player than Kyle Lowry. Ooh, they could be kind of scary and mess up a lot of people's predictions.
So the playoffs gonna be very fun. We'll see how everything goes and all that. I appreciate y'all in the chat today. A lot of great convo back and forth. To Marcus' point about the Kentucky job, the fans wanted Nate Oates, but no, Oates always had an extension. And Mark Pope, I don't know. We'll see on that one. But before we got it, Terrence said the Celtics will find a way to crumble. They always find a way to go ghost in the playoffs. Well, we'll see. We'll see. They could right a lot of wrongs if they get matched with Miami and beat them in the playoffs. But this has been our show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in with us. D-Lock, how can people find you on social media?
You guys can find me at Black-813 on the X, or what I call Twitter. Let them know they can find you on the show's page.
You can find the show's page on Twitter/X, FastBreak@IESR. That's FastBreak IESR. Also, do follow iSports Radio on all your social media feeds: X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Do follow iSports Radio there. A lot of shows on the network. And do go to iSportsRadio.com for the latest shows, news, and feeds as well. Do follow me on Twitter/X at Spawn4288. That's Spawn4288. Also, I do another show on the side called The Crooks Process. Do follow me on there on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok as well. But till then, ladies and gentlemen, we'll talk to y'all next week. Playoff action will be starting. Do check out the X feed for polls and all that good stuff. Until then, we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.